Okay, I've got the red button of lightness. Welcome, everybody, to the Data Center News Show. I am your host, Amy Palvido, and I've got a cool cats on my show today. It's a cool crew, and we're going to be talking about veterans, transitioning veterans into the data center industry and what that looks like, and then also where they can solve problems like around, just the data center industry itself, the energy industry, cybersecurity, all the great things, right? So we can put them all sorts of places. And we have a guinea pig on the show, which is Evan. I'll let him introduce himself, but he's a recent veteran. So we're going to basically quiz him on why he has not joined the data center industry yet, which will be very cool. And I get to do that to him because he's my child. So there you go. But I'll let everybody introduce themselves. You go first, Evan.
I'm Evan. I don't know the right way to put it. I've just left the county. I was working security for the county for a while, doing just sitting at a desk looking at cameras, honestly. And the insurance wasn't great and the pay wasn't great. And I had basically turning an 8-hour day into a 12-hour day. Not worth it. So I got out of that, and I've just been looking for work from home stuff. But when I was in the Army, I was a combat intelligence analyst, 35 Fox, doing 35 Fox stuff, thankfully. Most of my MMOS didn't do 35 Fox stuff. As the Army
no one, except for veterans, no one knows what that means. Like, will you come on? Like, please tell us what that for us, like people who are not veterans, what does that mean?
Intel stuff. I do
Intel stuff.
Yes, so okay. I would look at all the important information. I'd look at all the data points and look at all the names and locations and buildings and whatever. And I'd be like, sir, you should probably bomb that one. That one looks bad. That one has terrorists inside. Oh. That one's cool. Don't bomb that one. Like that's
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll get more. That sounds like we need to have beer. That's a beer conversation on some of those stories. But welcome. You're going to be my guinea pig for today. They all get to ping you questions. All right, John, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. My name is John. I'm the CEO and founder of Frago 22, workforce development, business development skill sets, bring veterans into the trades and into the data center industry. So great to be here. I'm a Army veteran myself, retired out in 22. I'm the opposite end of Evan's job. I'm the one feeding him this intel as a scout, so all the reconnaissance. And then he'd be like, well, you need to bomb this building. Be like, why? Nothing's in that building. He'd be like, but just trust me. You got to do it. I'm like, no. But that's a little bit about
veterans. Yeah, you veterans. That's awesome. All right, very cool. And Chris, welcome.
Thank you. Chris Dove, founder of Uptime Talent, formerly with Align Data Centers and Stream Data Centers. I've been in the industry for 7 or 8 years now, and I've helped thousands of veterans make a successful transition into the data center world.
Welcome. And Christy, hey, how are you? Welcome to the show. You didn't get the pre-call stuff, but it's a conversation. But welcome. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Chrissy Olson. I'm the Vice President of Critical Power Solutions at MPI Narada, and we specialize in lead and lithium batteries as well as energy storage.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, so part of this call is about power, so this will be great. Great to have you. Thank you so much for coming. And Tiffany.
Thanks for having me. Much appreciated. Tiffany Kowaleski, CEO of the GORE Group, which stands for Grit Over Resume. I've got my own story. Ended up working for the Department of Defense. So I learned every branch of service, every composition, and have now turned that into a company in the data center industry that we do direct hire staffing across all roles, site selection, general construction through full operations from entry level to C-suite, training, huge opportunity with training here, making sure that we've got true workforce development, partnering with a software development company with AI micro apps, and then true development. And that's a whole kitchen sink and probably a happy hours discussion for later.
Yes, exactly. It sounds like we're all going to have beer at some point. It's great. All right, Jay, my buddy Jay is here. Hey, Jay.
Hey everyone, Jake Halson. I've been in the industry one way or another for almost 20 years, 15 directly in the industry. Worked for Google, QTS, Align, DataBank, and today my current day job is Impact CX. I'm a customer rep for them. And then my night hat is Method Experts, focusing on bridging some of the gaps with training. Worked with just about everybody in this room just because it's good people trying to drive real results. The pillar that I am holding up at Method Experts is training, onboarding, and creating pathways into the industry. And then my partner, Antonio, his pillar that he's holding up is standing up an authorized service provider enablement program. So other than that, Evan, glad to have you here. With Chris and Chrissy and Tiffany and John here, I think we can answer most of your questions that you may or may not have.
Whether you'd want to or not, because your mom's going to get you in the industry.
Yes. I didn't know we
Yeah.
were saying how long we've been in the industry. I don't want to do that. I don't like
Well, you can't get that many years when you're only 29, Chrissy.
Oh,
Yeah, I
it's-
know.
this is why I
I
love
know.
you.
I know. He's so nice, isn't he? Yeah, my son, who's right next to me in the window, is 30. And I was like, how can that be? Because I'm only 29. I don't understand. How can you could be 30, Evan? Like, I don't get it, really. Okay. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to talk through a couple of things today. I think we have a good group of folks talking about transitioning veterans into the industry. I brought my child here to put him on the hot seat. So I'll start with Evan. And okay, so I probably, son, have talked to you ad nauseum about getting into the data center industry. I've told you like how much they pay. It's a great benefit. You've done trade work before. You've done intelligence work, and what your initial reaction to when I say get into the data center industry? What does it mean to you? What do you think what does it mean? Like,
The data center is
yeah,
really
working
what
in,
that
yeah.
work,
So,
work
but
at
what
a
kind
data
of
center.
job? What kind of job do you think you would be doing? Are you going to be like working with robots? Are you, oh, there's Thor.
Nope. I mean, we're just sleeping.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. But so let's talk through it. Do you understand what those jobs are? That would be my first question to you.
Not at all. No one ever really explains like everything that involves around being in a data center. But my thing is like the reason why I don't really care to drive far anymore. I don't really live around any data centers. Not moving anytime soon. So if there's a
Yeah.
fully remote position,
Good
I'm all
point.
for it. I just haven't.
Yeah.
I just
Well, they're
haven't had.
usually not in a
remote.
major city anymore, right?
No.
Or
Right.
the new ones, the greenfields are being built in some remote locations for sure. It's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So, is there any remote work in data centers? No, right? I'm asking.
There's
a
plenty of
majority
remote work in data centers. I've worked remotely for the last 6 years in the data center industry. But the thing about it, right, and the thing you have to realize, Evan, is you have no industry experience. You have no expertise to provide remotely. What are you going to do remotely for a data center, right? So you said you used to work security and it had bad benefits and all these complaints, right? Same exact job exists in the data center industry with better pay, better benefits, and a direct path to training to do other things that you learn about while being the security operations technician, right? So I would like to go ahead and dispel that kind of misconception for a lot of veterans getting out, right? It's a good stepping stone. It's getting your foot in the door. And then once you're inside the data centers, so when I went full-time in data centers 7 years ago, I thought I knew a lot about them, but it turns out I literally only knew about the operations side, right? There's the security side, the cyber side, the strategy and development, the construction, the customer success, all of these other things. And if you just get your foot in the door, right, drive over to whatever the closest data center is, get your foot in the door, figure out what you want to do, develop some industry expertise, then you can apply for the remote roles, and then you get the more flexible lifestyle. Nobody's just going to hand it to you.
So I'm going to back up Chris there. My last job as a regional director, I had 3 guys that started off in security, and they were facility engineers making $90,000 to $120,000 a year within 5 years. So I'm going to completely back Chris up that's a complete, like that if what this industry needs is people with grit and determination to improve themselves. If you show up, you do the job, and you do your best, you will exceed.
And actually, just to further back them up a little more, it's actually security is one of the highest needs right now, both from the physical perspective and the cyber perspective. And just one thing I want to throw out there, you and everyone else is chasing remote jobs. So if you don't have anything to leverage on to say that you are above and beyond that, you're competing with everyone else for 400 remote jobs when there's 40,000 of you going for it. So really, like they said, Jay and Chris both said, get your foot in the door, especially if you already have a security background. You're already prime above a lot of people. You start adding specialty skills on there like physical security, RFID, fire suppression. Now you're really talking, and you're already going to be well above a lot of individuals in that space to get you in the door.
Yeah,
And I
with
also think there's a lot of jobs that are not like technical that play in the space, right? So Tiffany and I are probably thinking the same thing, but sales, inside sales, right? Customer service, so that was mentioned. Marketing, there's a lot of different jobs that I think can be done that are remote and also not technical, right?
Yeah, I was going to say we have put together a quarterly internship program at the Gore Group. It's a 4-week virtual program. Would love for you to connect in with us, where we're showcasing all of the different opportunities with all of the different jobs, because there are so many different types. When I say site selection to general construction to full operations, there across entry level to C-suite, we're talking about 100 plus at least different types of jobs. I myself have hired directly from the military, and my team works remote, but my team had to show that they have intense levels of grit. 29 years SIOP battalion. He's my director of training and development. 20 years Army North Intel. He's also my director of training and development. I know that they know how to put training and development together, but on top of that, if you are really looking for something remote, then you're going to have to check the box that you're willing to travel. So you can go back home to mama and baby and the dog and whatnot, but you're going to then also have to, it's a give and take type of a thing, but we could easily help you get into more of that entry level, but you're going to have to travel at least 50% of the time.
Interesting.
For a majority of these.
Yeah, this is so cool. It's like real life talking to somebody about, but it's not just Evan, right? This is everybody in the industry. This is what we're facing when you're trying to attract talent. Evan's just an example case, right? And get my kid a job, man. Y'all, I'm just saying out loud. Get him a job.
My biggest issue right now, even if I wanted, like really, really, really wanted to be in data centers, which I couldn't, I could be in data centers. I couldn't be in data centers. I'm not particularly driven to be in the data center industry, right? I'm looking for a job that pays me. That's what jobs are for. Like my biggest thing, right? It's the biggest thing that I've learned is if you look for fulfillment in your job, you're never going to be fulfilled. Right? You look for fulfillment outside of it. Go outside, go touch some grass, go hike, go play some music, listen to music, like do that kind of stuff. I'm really in it for money, unfortunately. And
that is
right
so
now,
depressing.
Why we all work.
That's why you all work. But that's kind of depressing, Evan. You gotta want to like your job. Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
If you look at the job as a sense of income, then
time out. Wait for the panel to go around and answer that for you, Evan. Tee them up, Jay.
So I 100% get what you're saying. There was a long time that I didn't really particularly care like about my job. Now, aspects of it, right? When I go back to Jay in high school and I had a decision to make, the two things I wanted to do was be an electrician or be a teacher. And then I failed my senior year of wrestling at state, so I became an electrician, right? Now, what my passion was teaching, right? So as I became an electrician and learned what I had to learn, I got the opportunity to teach other people. That's kind of where I've found my true fulfillment in my career. What makes you happy? Being out in nature? Great. Be the guy that goes out and finds the land that these data centers are being built on. Like
Mhm.
you like changing money in hands, be the real estate agent. You like digging holes in the dirt, be the heavy machine operator. Like it's like I hear what you're saying, but you got to get a grounding and a footing somewhere and start developing your own path.
Yeah. I mean, if you were figuring out which buildings to bomb, you can figure out a piece of land where they can stick a data center. And that, by the way, because your mommy knows, is difficult to do. Like data center site selection is not easy because you're lacking so much data in order to figure out what site works and what site doesn't work. And you spend all this time figuring out, especially you can do behind the meter power generation. You could apply what you did in combat intelligence to finding a site for a data center easily. You could do that. I would bet you.
And there'll be a learning curve, and you'll have to get in at like the internship or associate level. But I mean, she's not wrong.
Yeah,
Not wrong, especially now with higher demand on grids and water resources and cooling resources. You know, it's expanding beyond the normal areas that they look for data centers. I mean, there's talks about putting them near the ocean, in the ocean. There's talks about going up to the very Arctic regions of the world, right? Just finding new and different ways of doing this. So
And
opportunity
space.
and
And
space.
space.
and
yeah.
space. I know.
Yesterday. Evan, welcome to an industry that is very lucrative as well. This isn't an industry that's going to go away. So if you're needing to reinvest your time and skill sets into an industry, at least you know longevity wise that it's an industry that's going to continue to prosper. It's not going to go away. So that's where if you want to make money, then you're in the right industry. If you want to make a change, if you want it to be sustainable, if you want it to be a future for your children, it's also something that you can mesh touching the grass, hiking the mountain, and making money with if you want. If not, if you just want to like get those hours in and burn the midnight oil, then go for it. And double time and a half is all yours as much as you want.
Well, and I
Interesting.
think that, community coming off a large conference we were just at, Tiff, and Amy,
Yeah.
though I
Yeah.
don't remember seeing you, but that doesn't mean anything. Community involvement and getting feedback from the community and what the community needs before they build these data centers is a big piece. Everybody I spoke to, that was a big talking point and a big trend is we're not just putting a big, concrete block without finding out the concerns and educating the community. So there's that piece too. And on the other side, to be kind of a hard ass, dude, you're going to have to earn it. So my daughter's the same age. She just got into the data center space, but she had to take a couple jobs maybe she didn't love before just to learn about this space, right? And one of her things was she didn't have the infrastructure gene, thinking I had the gene I was going to give her. It took years of learning, right? I didn't know anything about infrastructure or data centers or fiber or anything 30 some years ago. So you have to, some of it is you just have to learn it. And I told her it's not about that. And she's in sales too. It's about the art of the deal, if you will, and bringing something to a customer and just being really good. So, and no matter, my whole motto in life is show up, follow up, and care. I have another term, but for being politically correct, I'll say care. That's all it is, because that is more rare in our current atmosphere now than ever. So no matter what job you do, if you put your all into it, it's just a stepping stone to do better in the future.
One
Okay,
other thing, I just want to say that my director of training, who just retired, he's gray, he's old, he's full bird colonel. Like everyone was following his orders. Now he has nobody calling his phone. He's now going to be in a southern state doing commissioning work for the next 4 weeks for OTJ, just so he understands better, so that he can train better. Even he himself has to roll his arms up or sleeves up and really get into it and learn it. And that's the grit part of it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Evan, you're such a good sport. We beat up on you. You did great. You did great. But let's talk about the data center industry as a whole. And if we're transitioning veterans, is it across the board jobs? Are there certain MOSs that make more sense? What works the best? If y'all were thinking, I'm gonna throw that out to the crowd.
I'm gonna start off on two sides. It really depends on the person. I'll use my story as an example. I was a combat guy, reconnaissance and all that, but my first job was project managing in data centers to build these things. So it's, nothing has to do with anything related in terms of job going from there to there, other than managing people, time, and money. So that kind of transitioned me that way. That was more of my side. Now there are MOSs and jobs in the military that do almost directly translate. I mean, on the electrical side, you got, your power supply specialist, you have security, physical security specialists. You even have some RFID guys in there, and the list goes on, right? You start hitting the construction, the civil engineer, MOSs, your developers, and all that. So it's there. So it's just really, what does the individual want to do, what they aspire to be? And there's always an avenue. There's always an apprenticeship program. Half the panel here is either building it or being a part of that, or and going that route. So I say start with the individual and where that desire is, and then that's where you springboard and put the best position to the individual versus, hey, you got this, go that way and leave it alone.
Yeah.
So for all the MOSs, that makes sense, right? All the electrical, mechanical, HVAC, everything, right? That's a no-brainer. But you also get your GI Bill. You also have the Microsoft Data Center Pathways. You have the program through Google. There's a program through AWS. There's a program through the Arizona Data Center Alliance. Like, there's 1,000 programs going on right now in the United States that will help a veteran get into it, whether they were a yeoman in the Navy, a personnel specialist in the Army, or they were infantry in the Marines. Like, it doesn't matter what their MOS is. There is definitely a path into this industry. And like he said, right, it depends on the individual, what work you're willing to put in. Like, there's a Military Act now just put out a flyer today with like 100+ certifications relevant to data centers that veterans could get completely free through different organizations. And like, it's all there. And if you're driven and you want to do it, there's people like me and Tiffany and Jay and John that will stop and talk to you for 10 to 30 minutes about, hey, this is what I think you like to do. This is what I think you need to do to have the credential, or at least the start of the credentials to get in the industry. And like, there's so many people out there. But something a lot of people underestimate is the DoD has been the #1 supplier of the skilled trades for the data center industry for the last 26 years. Since the year 2000, Navy nukes have been transitioning directly to data centers, Navy electricians, mates, Army prime power. And now these guys are in the C-suite at data center operators. You've got TJ Chacon over at Menlo Digital. You've got Billy Haggard at Align Data Centers. You've got Tony Grayson that successfully exited Compass. And for any employer out there that's wondering, is veteran hiring right for me? I went to Align Data Centers as the first person in talent acquisition. I built veteran-friendly hiring practices. We hired like 70% veterans over the 4 years that I was there, and then they sold for $40 billion. So like, unless your company's worth more than $40 billion, I don't think that you can kind of put a crack in that, right? It's a proven thing to work. Is it super straightforward and easy all the time? No. But I promise, if you just like Tiffany's company, Grit Over Resume, if you find the people that have the grit to make it happen, the ability to adapt and overcome to any situation, it's going to work out well for you.
Yeah, interesting.
So, to leverage a little bit more what Chris is saying, every data center program has a VetNet, a veterinarians group, or veterans group.
Got a lot of animal doctors.
Right. A vets group, right? To where if you're a vet, they will find a job for you. Mm-hmm. Like, if you show up and actually give a darn about what you're going to do, like, you can find a job in a data center, whether it's interning or security or, whatever. Mm-hmm. So just want to lean on that as well.
And the data center industry is hungry for people. And like, even from the non-veteran side, I had a person that did basic stage maintenance in the film industry show up to 3 different data center events and talk to me and tell me how much she wanted to be in data centers. And 3 to 6 months later, she had an internship at a data center because I helped her, because I knew she was driven and that she wouldn't disappoint anyone and that she would learn, and she was humble, right? She probably started out around $20 an hour. And if you're humble and hungry, people will work with you. People will bend over backwards to help you out.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm just going to caveat with one thing, because you guys, both Chris and Jay mentioned internship. That's also a prime opportunity for veterans transitioning out who are in their like 6-month window. If you haven't heard of the Skill Bridge program, you're behind the power curve, because you literally get to go intern for some of these companies and data centers. I did it while you're still getting paid by your branch of service. So now you get a paid internship. You're going to get those skills, and 99.8% of the time, you're going to walk out with a job.
Evan, where do you currently live right now?
Up north of Liberty Hill.
In
He's in
Virginia?
Austin.
Oh,
He's in Austin. Yeah,
Oh,
he's in Austin.
Texas. Liberty
Evan,
Hill.
I tell you what, unfortunately, I have to jump for 1 minute with my current client where we've hired 90% either veterans or guardsmen or reservists with this current client right now. And I've got 4 crossing the line right now, so I got to go. But I tell you what, Evan, we know a lot of people in Austin. You're in a really great area. And if you ever decide that you want to not do remote, you now have all of our contact information. And thank you for
There
your
you go.
service.
Yeah. Thank
Bye,
you.
Tiffany.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Tiffany. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So
Yeah.
I just
I
did.
had to drop too.
There's an
So
event that comes out in Austin every year,
Thanks,
the
Jay.
DCAC conference.
Yeah, the DCAC conference, and I just hopped on datacentermap.com. I typed in Austin, Texas, and there's over 35 different data centers a drivable distance from you. You can get into those. Kirk Affel, CEO of Overwatch, also a veteran, known for getting tons of veterans in the industry. Salute
Navy
Mission
New guy.
Critical and Lee Kirby do a ton of work in Texas. Riot Platforms out in Corsicana and Rockdale would love to hire more veterans. Like, you are actually in a way better spot than I am in rural Ohio, right? So, I mean, if you want to get into data centers, man, call one of us.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Christy, in the power space, well, what are you seeing from a labor issue? And we'll talk power constraints in a second, but what do you see from on your side, other than we need more electricians? Like,
Well, I mean, that would be the number one thing I would say. But that was also a big talking point. Like, we don't have enough labor. So I love how positive everybody is. And Evan, like, it's true. There's not enough labor across the ecosystem of data centers right now. So there's so much opportunity, and you will find the right fit. I promise you that. But again, electricians, mechanical engineers, and technicians, because of the liquid cooling aspect of and plumbing. Really, there's got to be a bridge between that, because really somebody who has mechanical and plumbing need to come together because of the liquid cooling on a lot of sites, because it's a whole new technology that hasn't really been completely vetted out once it's installed, right? There's a lot of talk, and I like to say people are just dipping their toe in the water when it comes to liquid cooling. And there's a lot of hybrid installs going on. I think it is the wave of the future. So, but it's brand new. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to become specialists in that and path at that. So I see a gap there. And I also, I see a gap just in a younger generation getting into the data center space, because most of the people I see in the data center space are 35 and older, like much older than 35, right? And so we need to really round out the next generation of talent. And I love hearing that there's all these training programs. I was involved in a past employer with the Skill Bridge. There's a lot of employers who have a veteran opportunity liaison program. So, but I think that definitely electricians, because it goes into every data center, right? And so we're going to just even construction labor is going to be, it's going to be a challenge, because one, they're building out in these locations that are tough to get labor to. So being willing to travel during the week, which is hard, but usually get paid very well to do it. And then there's even, how do we build infrastructure around these sites to support the contractors, right? Across the board, restaurants, housing. I mean, there's a lot of different challenges out there when it comes to, I'm going to put up, this huge data center. I want to build it. We're all ready to go. But like, there's nowhere for my contractors to stay.
Right.
in the
Exactly.
there's a lot of things, I think, challenges. I think that data centers and the companies and the collaborations going on there are getting smarter, but we have a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the data center industry could take a page out of the oil and gas industry, because they've done the same thing where they have these
Exactly.
booms. Yeah, and then they'll have to figure out housing, they have to figure out medical, they have to figure out retail, they have to figure out all this, the support services for their workforce. They have to do it on a moment's notice and like that, because they found oil somewhere and now we're going to go drill it for 100 years, right? And so yeah, it's definitely like interesting. There are similarities there for sure.
I definitely think so. And I mean, if we get really smart, we should partner with some of these, hotel chains and grocery chains and even like fast food chains to, have special program to build out infrastructure before they even break ground. Right? Here's our parcel. We need you guys to come together and collaborate as, a team to build some of this stuff out. So,
and how much of a cool job perk would that be, right? That your job offer comes with, discounted housing nearby and in a time where housing is so expensive. Something that I saw last year that really was fascinating was Costco adding apartments to the top of their building. So some new design Costco's will actually be Costco down low, apartments up high. And it's like when you're building out a $20 billion, 12, building, 100 megawatt to, 1 gigawatt campus, you're not thinking about any of the housing during all of this construction that's going to be in phases over, multiple years and things like that. And like, we're already in the real estate development industry. You're telling me that you can't throw up some multifamily housing on these properties or something? Like, who's going to be the first person to do it? Like, crazier things have happened in this industry already. And like, yeah, at some point, we run out of people to put in the industry, and there has to be more of an incentive, right? And if my job offer came with discounted housing at the nearby multifamily housing complex, I'm 100 times more likely to transition there from the military, because like that's the whole nightmare of the military transition. How do I find housing when I don't have my job? So I don't have my budget or my location yet, and all of these things, right? And just like the oil fields did, they parked a bunch of double wides out there in the oil fields and said, "Welcome to your new home," right? And then people were happy to move in. Families traveled around homeschooling their kids together. People took care of each other. And I'll tell you, I used to recruit for a company many years ago called Gemma Power Systems, and they did that, going around the country building power plants, right? A lot of their crews made good enough money that their spouses didn't have to work. They did a lot of homeschooling. They had a lot of temporary housing, and then they moved on to the next power plant project. Like, the solutions are there. They've been tried and true, but it's like, who's going to step up to the plate and be the first person to hit it?
Yeah,
I think we're going to see more of that for sure. I think that's super cool and interesting.
I think the biggest hiccup to that, and I saw it out here because I live near a rural area in Virginia, and they're bringing data center to more rural, away from the big cities. And actually, the biggest hit to doing any of that was the local governance. They were the ones shutting that down, because we have this data center coming up, and it's actually almost done. But they tried to put mini houses on there for the workers. And I mean, you're still 20 miles away from the nearest Walmart. So, they're just like, hey, we're just trying to put it on the exact same land. And, it was the local government that was fighting it, that particular part. But it's there, it's doable. If you want a good case study of where it does work, if you haven't looked up Boynton, Virginia, you need to. The Microsoft data campus there is twice the size of the town that supports it.
Boynton, you said?
Boynton, B-O-Y-N.
Yeah, so I know a lot of guys that actually work down there. There was a time that I was considering applying for the talent acquisition role at Microsoft, and it was literally just for Boynton, because that's how big it is. Yeah.
It is huge. Just get on Google Maps, go to it, and then zoom out, and you'll see how massive this campus is.
And we just thought Elon was building cities. Microsoft has been building cities for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're starting to get smarter, because if they want to build a data center, they have to have an infrastructure and community around it to support it. Even though
Yeah.
they don't take a lot of labor, right? You know, it's not thousands and thousands of employees. It is to build it. And
Yeah.
then, you know, that just is overall urban growth anyway, right? So I think we'll see some really interesting things coming up.
There was an article, and I can't remember who put it out, but it was maybe it was the Data Center Coalition. Yeah, it was the Data Center Coalition and this third party reporting group, and they said for every data center job, it supports 6 others in the surrounding area. So for every one, you've got 6 more you've got to have. So if you create 40 jobs, now you're at like 280 jobs that you need in the area to support that data center, right? So you're thinking all the other things that you need to have. So if the data center developers aren't thinking, I'm not developing a data center, I'm developing a community, and I have to balance all these other needs with what that looks like, it becomes interesting. Our Martindale site outside of Austin is that's where we're thinking, right? So it's large acres of land, and it's out in the middle. And even though it's 30 minutes from Austin, this is Texas, y'all. It's like in the middle of nowhere. Like it's
everything is 20 minutes away. Yeah.
Exactly. But it is, and it's just farmland and stuff. And so there's no grocery store. We're building the on-site power, all those things. But that's the other thing too, is power generation supplies a lot of jobs. The data center might not, but if every data center is doing behind the meter power generation operators or power plant operators have hundreds of jobs, right? Comparative. So if that data center is the reason for that power plant to be there, they're supplying jobs to the community. I think we get a bad rap that's unnecessary for the industry, that we don't provide a lot of jobs.
And that's a very common thing the communities bring up when they're pushing back against data centers is, why are we doing all this for only 50 jobs? But number one, it's not just for 50 jobs. Number two, would you rather have an employer that has 1,000 jobs at $20 an hour, that every employee has to be subsidized by welfare programs, and it changes your traffic patterns and it becomes a nuisance to your neighborhood? Or would you rather have 50 jobs that pay 6 figures, give people an actual career path, and actually lead to something, and they don't have to be subsidized by the community? And then even beyond everything that you just talked about, think about every data center that goes up. You need more people building training for that data center. You need more people managing the customer accounts that are in that data center. So you have all of these remote jobs that might not be right there in your local community, but they're definitely being created directly inside the industry. And that's not even to mention the other 6 are going to be created outside of the industry. And I'll tell you, Kirkafel just testified before Congress. A lot of that work goes to small businesses, right? Yeah. Businesses of 1 to 100 people doing less than $100 million in revenue are getting all of that. And one good data center contract for a small business could set them up for the next 10 years, right? And then you see people from the industry spinning off and going to start their own company because they want to get a piece of that. And it creates another small business where more people will have the opportunity to get in. And we've got to get these blinders off that, oh, this data center has 50 jobs. If you look out here, it's more like 500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the one piece, we keep talking about data center construction, but the one piece we haven't really touched on is that our electrical infrastructure is aging. Like, it's in a bad place. They're going to need so much support and labor to solve that problem. I said NERC did a new assessment and basically said 13 of the 23 regions are basically going to have demand rates higher than they've ever seen before in their lives. I know in Texas, I'm in Texas, it's 3x. We've got what's sitting in the interconnection queue is 3x what would they're actually the output is today. That's what's sitting in ERCOT's queue right now, which is just mind-boggling that we have this, and that how are we going to build out that infrastructure to meet that demand? Yes, we know some of it's not real, but whatever. Some of it's real. Like, even if it was just 1x, like, it's still a lot. So I think, as we look at veterans transitioning, on the power side is going to be extremely helpful too. Not even in the data center space itself. Chrissy, tell me a little bit about what your company does. So just so folks know.
Sure. So we specialize in.
Thanks,
Gotta
Evan.
go.
Bye, Evan.
Thanks, Evan.
We go on.
We specialize in lead and lithium, LFP battery technology, and then energy storage technology.
Okay.
So we're a manufacturer of those products.
And
Yeah. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. So you're deploying. Are you managing the power? Is it like power as a service, or are you just sending out the? It's a part of the power stack that goes out as part of it.
It's part of the power stack, and then it's growing. This is kind of a new industry for me, so like that's another thing. You can tell Evan, you just never know what you're going to do. I've always been on the infrastructure side, but as I get into the later years of my career, I wanted to do something that was different, that I could use my experience in network for, but that was also something that went into every data center. So battery backup goes into every data center. Our batteries hook up to the UPS and then to the generators, right? So if the grid or the power goes down, we're an integral piece. But it's a whole new thing. It's a whole new technology I've had to learn, but it's exciting, right? So, he's going to do fine. But so one, I like being that it's an instrumental part of the infrastructure that goes into every data center. I think, I've learned a lot about, there's a lot of misnomers and about lithium, right? These aren't lithium batteries that go into your car or into anything in household goods. These are made specifically for data centers, right? It's one of the safest technologies out there. Our chemistry happens to be very safe, but there's lots of different chemistries out there. But so it's an exciting time to be in the industry, right? You said there's just a ton of growth every day on LinkedIn. There's all these huge projects that are, coming in a couple of years, and there's a lot of collaboration within, investors and private equity and data center builds, and then power. A lot of utilities, a lot of these hyperscalers are going to become utility companies, right? They have to.
Yep.
So I just see there's just a lot of evolving as we go in to build these, AI hyperscale data centers. So because it requires a lot. And I think there also is going to be a lot of diversification when it comes to power. I don't think a data center is just going to rely on the grid or just solar. I think they're going to do many different things. Nuclear, right? I've spoken on a couple different nuclear panels that are just super interesting. It's not nuclear like where I live in Washington, where Andren, or where we've had a lot of issues. It's not Chernobyl. It's it's very technical forward technology and actually pretty safe. So I think we'll see a lot of that. Multiple things coming into data center builds, which again gives a lot of opportunity to different jobs. But I think, they're requiring these data centers to build their own substations and to build their own power plants to support the data center. So I think we'll see a ton more of that.
Yeah. Does it become, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I actually totally agree with that. If you pull the lens back, even away from data centers, looking at the grid as a whole is actually multifaceted, because you're not just looking at what the infrastructure itself can support, but you're looking at the cybersecurity piece of it, the technical piece of it, the operational piece of it. And it is such a slow, because infrastructure is involved, it can't keep up with the speed. And so much that even the DoD, if you guys haven't seen this, the DoD has recognized how important this is, that they're now started the JONUS program. And so they're going to put a few power grids on 8 military installations by 2028, just to have a little more security and independence away from the current grid. So, right, if there's ever a time to say hint, hint, wink, wink, foot stomp, like electricians and things in the power supply, 2028, they've already announced it. So perfect time to get skilled and technical.
So the White House has decided that data centers and SMRs are a matter of national security, because what they're saying to the world is whoever controls the most compute power, whoever is the forefront of AI, will control the world. So, it's terrible that data centers get blamed for a lot of things, but the grid issues were already there. This is
I
just
know.
revealing them, right? And now that there's all this money being poured into upgrades across the board, right? The grid, it's a nightmare. It's a mess right now. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But 10 years from now, when all of this is done, when you have so much behind the meter power, when you have the grid upgrades, like, we're going to be better off. And if a country that doesn't like us gets ahead of us in this curve, like, it could literally, mean the end of the United States as a whole. So they're putting the SMRs on many DOE installations. Oklo is supposed to be, generating by 27 or 28. And, we've always had this joke in the Navy nuclear community that more nuclear power is 5 years away. Don't worry, nuclear fusion's 10 years away, right? And it doesn't matter what year you ask that question, it's always that, right?
Right.
And now it feels like, okay, we've got the government involved. We've got, an administration that believes in deregulation. If you haven't looked at the changes at the NRC, it is much easier to get a reactor design approved now, and they're required to give you a response within 6 months versus it used to take 6 years sometimes to get a reactor design approved. You've got several companies now that are either close to approval or have approval of new designs. And, we're really pushing the envelope. Chris's company opens up the avenues for other energy, power generation, right? Because they're going to store it in the storage systems, because nuclear power is perfect for data centers. The data center has a large base loading. It'll peak sometimes. It's perfect for a nuclear power plant. But when you try to use solar or other renewables and things, like, you need that intermediary from Chrissy's company of a very large battery energy storage system that's going to, get you through those peaks and valleys and the different changes. I'll get off my soapbox now, but, like, people really blame the data center industry for so many issues that aren't their fault. Just like some people are seeing increases in their electricity bill. That's not the data center's fault. That's the utility fault for sharing upgrades across all users. Or like PJM here for me in Ohio, they're auctioning off energy. Yeah, if you have an open auction for energy, do you think a residential customer or a possibly $1 trillion company can pay more? Like, guys, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Well, I think that our politicians, I think that our city and county and state leaders are going to have power and utility specialists on their teams to understand the ramifications of all of it, educate people properly, because they can't do it the way they've been doing it, right? Have your residential grid, but you have to have some other things. And on the energy storage side, people don't talk enough about energy storage. I've had a big learning curve on it recently, but if you're bringing into a greenfield data center and you're bringing solar and nuclear and the, regular electrical power and gas, let's say natural gas, if it's not being used, it gets wasted, right? So it just goes off into the ether. So that's where the energy storage comes in, because we can capture the unused power and have it for something else, right? We can power another part of the community. We can have it for backup. There's a lot of different things. So I think we'll see a lot more conversations around that, which is great job security for me, but it's also very interesting, right? I think people just need to get educated on that piece a lot more than we are today.
For sure. I mean, but energy storage is a crucial piece, like, especially from a power quality, even a power quality perspective, right? Especially you've got 3 or 4 different sources, if it's natural gas, nuclear, whatever the flavor of the month is, and you're trying to feed that into a data center, you have to basically use the energy storage like a buffer so that it gets like what it needs to come into the data center. But at the end of the day, so the data center industry is now almost the power generation industry plus the data center industry.
Yes.
And so we need people in all of the above. Like we need people in all of these places to understand that, because it is. I mean, every data center is going to do behind the meter. They're going to have some sort of, even that, backup generation that they need technicians to not walk around. I mean, they'll have robots walking around doing readings, but they'll need like somebody who knows how to fix the damn thing. And so it's
Yeah.
gonna be an interesting time. But I also think broader than just data centers, real estate companies are now being reached out to by utilities to put batteries on their sites, like large retail folks. Like, we need power generation. You've got big, huge parking lots that aren't half empty, and like, can we stick batteries there? Can we do this? I mean, it's really kind of interesting how the utilities
Absolutely.
are starting to get creative, right?
We don't
You know?
need
Go
an
ahead.
internal pace. We can put it in a container
Yeah.
out in a field if we have to capture that or for the backup. So yeah,
And as far as job creation, right? Somebody had to go and manufacture that. Somebody has to transport that to where it's going.
Yep.
So like, there's so many indirect jobs that are being propelled by this industry.
Yep.
And it's just crazy to me that people don't see it.
well, just in our, let's say, lithium battery solution, we have a company that makes the battery cells. We have a domestic company who's making the containers and the cabinets. We, partner with another company for the BMS system. So there's so many different pieces and parts. And then we partner, like, we don't make UPSs, but we partner with those people who make UPSs, right? And part of testing, we have to test all of our batteries with specific company UPSs, right? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and there's a lot of collaboration. And I think, this is a great platform to start talking about these types of things, because there's so much about, land and build and, compute and capacity, but there's so many little pieces that go around it to make it all happen. It's an amazing industry to be in. So I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, and if I get one more YouTuber complaining about the data center industry, I think I'm going to throw up. Like, seriously,
it's an education problem.
Yeah,
I
it's our
know.
job to educate them.
So
Yeah.
listen to this. I live very close to Wilmington, Ohio. Wilmington, Ohio is vehemently pushing back against an AWS data center. And I will speak face to face with a person who will then type into ChatGPT what I'm telling them and then be like, well, the AI says that you're wrong. And I'm like, dude, the irony of this is going to make my head explode. You don't want the data center, but you want the AI it provides. The AI is just reading what everyone else is saying on the internet and then giving that to you in a digestible form. I'm actually in the industry. I'm a real human. I'm telling you that, this data center is not going to use 4 million gallons of water a week. Like, that is a misconception.
No, it is.
No, ChatGPT says that's true. And I'm just
Well, guess what? That ChatGPT isn't going to work without a data center.
I know.
And actually, Chris, I think you bring a good point, is the industry as a whole
yes.
really, really sucks about talking about what the industry does.
Oh, I know.
Right?
They do. Yes.
You have some great people out there like Kirk, right? Kirk is out there and he's
Yeah.
trying to change that narrative. And of course, Chrissy, I know you are too, and Amy, you are too. But that's the problem, is the education out there isn't going out there the way it needs to. And it's almost the reverse of what the oil and gas industry did. They were great about educating you until they're like, wait, hang on, why is fracking an issue? Why is this an issue? Why are we doing this? It's like, oh, well, But I think as an industry collaborators, we all need to do better getting that message out there and really spitting the truth and showcasing what the industry is about, which I think will also help the hiring process into bringing people in, because you talk to your average person, you ask about the data industry, they're just like, I don't know. I thought it was a select group and you were just part of the good boy system.
Yeah, that's those buildings where the government stores all the data on you so they can spy on you. And you're like,
the CIA secretly did it. Yeah. So
I is running the AWS data center. This is crazy. Go ahead. I was going to say 90% of my travel since the pandemic has been traveling around the country trying to educate people. And that's why when they gave me the opportunity to jump on this platform, I was like, yes, like if 1,000 people see this, if 10,000 people see this, like I hope they take some sort of education away from this, that it's not the data centers that are your enemy. It's, a lot of other things.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Now, I mean, we've been blamed for poisoning water. We've been blamed for like poisoning the air. We've been blamed for raising the residential rates. All of the, and there's only one person that works in a data center. I mean, like, realistic. It's like but yet they want to take pictures, 1 million pictures of their food, and they on their phone.
Where
And
do
they
you
want
think
to
that
store
has to
it.
go?
I know,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then but I think there has been talk about there's a pack that's going to be formed. A bunch of the data center companies have been talking about it. I know at PTC I was there. You had Tag and Randy and Andy and all these people up there going, at every community we're in, we are the best neighbor. Every community we're going to go into, we're evil. Like, I mean, like,
Right.
and it's kind of an interesting phenomenon, yet the backlash, but yeah, it is definitely an educational thing, for sure.
And
Well,
I mean, there have
and
been instances where they've been bad neighbors, and I think we need to own up to that and face the facts.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
like, for example, with the data center in Wilmington, I do not agree with its location. It is right next to too many residential neighborhoods and schools.
Yep.
And I love data centers. I'm pro data center, but move
Yeah.
that crap over to the airfield that's available that you don't want to pay the money for the land for, and then you don't get all of this backlash.
Yeah.
And that's
True.
where they really have to come together and work towards educating the community and like doing the right thing for the community. But I also think that one of the things we did at PTC was this MPI studio. So we had people come in and talk, pitch their company or talk. And there's a lot of innovation coming around that, where they are doing some vertical farming that's going to give back, with the hot aisle and cold aisle, which
Yeah.
is very cool, which is going to give back to the community, right? And stuff like that. So I think we'll see a lot more innovation utilizing that. But again, it does come back to educating the community.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been so much fun. Thanks, guys, for coming on the show. This was awesome. Thanks for
Thanks for
being
having
here.
me.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this was great. This was great. So, if somebody would like to get a hold of you, John, how could they do that?
All right, 2 best ways to get a hold of me. You can find me on LinkedIn. I have a very unique name, so I'm not hard to find. You'll see this ugly face. Or you can just email me directly at kirchhoff.john@gmail.com.
Very cool. And Chris?
John, it was great to meet you, man. Chrissy, I'm already a little familiar with you from being in the industry. Amy, I think I did see you at PTC. But John, it was great to meet you.
Great to meet you,
Shameless plug. By the end of the month, Baltu Technologies and I are launching a free data center facility operations training program, free to any person in the entire world, all delivered
Awesome.
virtually. If you want to get those internships, if you want to get your foot in the door, it's there for you. Again, that's baltutech.com. Sign up for the wait list, launching this month. And just really appreciate you having me on the show. Everyone can find me on LinkedIn. People call me the data center guy on Reddit. I get random inquiries from that all the time, even though I don't have a Reddit account anymore. If you want to get in the industry, the opportunities are here. The people are here to help you. And we need more good people for any of us to achieve our dreams. So there's a very, check your ego and logo at the door. The rising tide will raise all ships kind of mentality in this industry. So you'd be hard pressed to find a person or a company that won't help you if you're helping yourself.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
true. Yeah. And Chrissy?
Yeah, so I have been referred to as the Kevin Bacon of the data center industry. So if you need an intro, definitely give me a call. But that's after years of hard work connecting with a lot of people. But no, it's been a pleasure to be on this. I am also on LinkedIn and always on it. So I use LinkedIn as a tool every day, all day. And then you definitely can reach me at colson@mpinarada.com. And super excited. Thank you so much for including me, and wonderful to meet you guys. And Chris, send me the information and I'll promote it on LinkedIn. On that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Yeah.
I'll shoot you guys a follow-up email. Thank you.
All right, no worries. And that's the show. We'll see y'all next week. And oh, by the way, next week's my birthday, so all y'all come and say hi. So,
Finally turning 30. Woo!
I know.
Love these guys.
Crazy.
Get your eyes checked, everybody.
Exactly.
Bye,
Happy
everyone.
birthday.
Thank you. We'll see you
Thanks,
guys
Amy.
next week. All right, we'll see you.